June 26, 1985. It was a warm summer night, and in the early evening, Monorail Silver was making its transit from the Transportation and Ticket Center to Epcot. Now, to this point, the monorail had run seamlessly for probably hundreds of thousands of miles. The monorail pilot received a warning that there was a flat tire on the monorail. So, according to procedure, he called the maintenance staff over, and they replaced the tire. There was a short delay, but the monorail was cleared for departure and set off back toward the Transportation and Ticket Center. It was going along World Center Drive when the tire that they had replaced started to rub away, and they were left with the metal rim rubbing against the concrete, which sparked and caused a fire. Now, this was happening at the back end of the monorail. The monorail pilot, at the far end of the monorail, all the way in the front, received another warning that he had a flat tire, and shortly after, that there was a fire. So the monorail pilot followed procedures and stopped the monorail there on the tracks. He advised the guests that there was a problem. The pilot also alerted monorail dispatch that there was a fire. The people inside the monorail could see that there was smoke coming out of the back of the monorail, and a couple of guests knocked out windows to look outside and could see that there was actually a fire brewing. A couple of guests took it upon themselves to make sure that everyone would be safe. They knocked out the doors and opened the hatch on the roof and got everyone to safety on the roof, and they moved to the next car over where they were much safer. The monorail, being 30 or 40 feet off the ground, has no means of escape other than pulling into another station so that you could exit the vehicle. On this long stretch, especially between Epcot and the Transportation and Ticket Center, the only option is to climb onto the roof, and in the event of an extreme emergency, to climb off of the monorail and down onto the beam. The guests and the monorail pilot who had joined them by this point got everyone out of the car and to safety. The fire department arrived a few minutes later and was able to extinguish the fire and rescue everyone from the monorail. It was a harrowing tale that had many different storylines associated with it. In episode 74, where I talk about this monorail accident and others, you can hear more about these tales, from the people who were in the car to people who were driving their cars along World Center Drive when they saw a monorail on fire and were completely unable to help the passengers who they could see clamoring and climbing out of the monorail. Thankfully, after they had put the fire out and rescued everyone, it turned out that everyone was generally fine. There was some smoke inhalation and maybe a few nicks and bruises and things like that, but no one was injured, which is a tremendous thing considering the fact that this was an enormous fire that engulfed the entire car of the monorail. The heroism of the few passengers who were able to get everyone to safety should not be overlooked. It was an amazing tale. Now, for its part, Disney made a change to the Mark IV monorails. They did two things. The first was that they put fire retardant materials down by where the wheelbase is, so the fire couldn't travel back into the cab again. The second is that they put a fire extinguishing system throughout the monorail